If you're anything like me, you want to be spending your time working out as efficiently as possible to build muscle. If this is the first time you've clicked on a video of mine, my name is Sam Kaplan. I'm a pro natural bodybuilder and an online physique coach. Throughout my time lifting weights over the years, I've learned a lot about how to do it efficiently to build as much muscle as I possibly can for myself. And even after having lifted for over 20 years at this point, I'm still learning more. If you're someone who's interested in finding more ways for how to spend your time lifting weights efficiently to ultimately build muscle faster and more effectively, then you're in the right place. In this video, I'm going to walk you through my latest full body gym workout and share with you how I approach the session in a way that is efficient and ultimately leads me to building as much muscle as I possibly can. And so not everything that I share with you about my approach might work as well for you as it does for me. That said, it's my hope that in sharing my approach with you, that there's something in there that you might be able to take and implement for yourself in your own workouts to help you build muscle more efficiently and faster. Before we get started, if you find this video to be helpful, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out. Okay, let's dive in. First up in the workout are these dumbbell Romanian deadlifts to primarily hit my hamstrings and glutes and secondarily my back musculature. As I do these, while keeping the dumbbells right up to my legs, I aim to bring them as low as possible at the bottom of each rep, just before the point where my lumbar spine starts to round. At that bottom, super deep position, I can feel a very deep stretch across my hamstrings. Why aim to move this low? Well, upon doing so, my hamstrings and glutes literally stretch as much as is possible, which, under load, probably exposes them to higher amounts of mechanical tension compared to moving with a shorter range of motion. Mechanical tension is the primary driver for muscle growth, so if there's more of it, there might be more muscle growth stimulus that comes from it. The back musculature likely gets a greater stimulus from moving lower too, since the spinal erectors and traps have to work super hard to keep the spine stabilized in that very deep position. As far as my technique goes, I aim to move always with good control and with a pause at the bottom of each rep for at least a split second or two. At the top of each rep, I'll aim to get in a good breath and brace my midsection hard before starting the next rep. Next up are these flat dumbbell bench presses to hit my pecs. As a general overarching rule that applies to performing virtually every exercise, the more stable you are, the more force your muscles will be able to produce. So when performing these, I make sure that right from the beginning of every set, right from transitioning from a seated to a lying position, I make sure that I'm settled into a very stable position. My feet must be firmly planted on the ground, glutes glued to the seat, and shoulders pinned to the bench. And as I perform each rep, I make sure that I'm breathing in coordination with bracing my midsection hard to further support and stabilize my body too. From there, upon performing each rep, I aim to move again, always with control and a full range of motion. For me, a full range of motion means bringing the dumbbells as low as possible, permitting my shoulders don't feel any pain, to where I can feel a deep stretch across my chest. Again, this is a means of potentially exposing my muscles to higher amounts of mechanical tension compared to moving with a shorter range of motion. Not to mention, the stretch sensation helps me to reinforce my mind-muscle connection with my pecs. Leg extensions are next to hit my quads. As far as exercise technique goes with this, it's pretty straightforward. That being so, I think it's important to keep myself to a very high standard when doing these. That means a couple of things. First, it means always moving with control. No surprises there. Second, it means always moving with an appropriate range of motion, Also, no surprises there. And third, it means taking the set as close to real mechanical failure as possible, meaning taking the set to the point where my muscles literally cannot perform another rep. With these, that's easier said than done, as it can be easy to stop the set out of experiencing the fiery discomfort of tension on the quads before literally not being able to move anymore. To perhaps get better stimulus for the rectus femoris, the middle head of your quads, I lean back in my seat as far as possible to where my hips are fixed in a more extended position. This is a means of setting in my body in a position where that muscle, the rectus femoris, can be exposed to a bit more mechanical tension compared to if I was sitting more upright. Chest-supported T-bar rows are next to hit my back with a bias on my traps in particular. I like to take my time with these. At the bottom of each rep, I allow my thoracic spine to round a bit and my scapula to really open up. In that bottom stretch position, I'll pause for a second or two to really settle into the tension as my traps are very much elongated. As I pull the load up, I do so without the use of any momentum and then pause for a second or two at the top of each rep when my traps are contracted. This kind of controlled style of lifting seems to have done some great things for my development, or for the development of my back upon consistently moving in this manner for at least several years now. I found that it's a means of being more precise with hitting the muscles I want to hit, in this case, my traps primarily, compared to moving with more body English or momentum. Incline dumbbell lateral raises are next to hit my delts. These hit both the front and side delts and are one of my all-time favorite shoulder exercises. In particular, I love the feeling of intense tension in the bottom half or third of each rep, where, because of the positioning of the body, the delts experience a ton of tension there. I find that I can very easily lock into my mind-muscle connection at this angle too, much more so than when doing standard vertical dumbbell lateral raises. That being so, I found that my shoulder joints are also a bit more sensitive at this angle to unwanted aggravation if I'm not careful. As such, moving with tons of control, including pauses at the bottom and top of each rep, moving with loads that aren't too heavy, and upholding a very high degree of body awareness when doing these, is all essential to avoid any nagging pain or injury around my shoulder joints when doing these. Fortunately, I found that moving in that manner is, in addition to best being done to mitigate injury or pain, also a great means of maximizing tension and getting the best muscle growth stimulus for my delts possible. Incline dumbbell bicep curls are next to hit my biceps. Just like the incline dumbbell lateral raises, it's the angle of the body positioning that really makes these killer. By lying back in this inclined position, the shoulders are actually set in a position where the biceps can elongate more deeply across the shoulder and elbow joint compared to doing the exercise seated or standing in a more upright vertical body position. The more elongated bicep positioning leaves me with a more intense sensation across my biceps when doing these in comparison to more of a standard bicep curl variation. And I love that. To really get the most out of these, it's my preference to keep my shoulder essentially fixed in place throughout the entirety of each rep. No swinging whatsoever. By upholding a very strict and controlled movement pattern where my tempo is under control and I'm moving completely from the elbow joint, I'm ensuring that tension stays on my biceps and doesn't shift to my delts. And since I'm doing these to hit my biceps, that's most definitely the outcome I'm looking for. And last, but certainly not least, are these tricep pushdowns to hit my triceps. There's an assortment of different attachments to choose from when doing these. My preference is to simply pick the one that feels best on my joints and leaves me with the highest amount of tension felt across my triceps. I don't really look much more deeply into it than that. Just like every other exercise I've done before this, my preference is to keep the movement strict and under control, And like the bicep curls, I try to keep my shoulders fixed in position, keeping the movement entirely coming from the elbow joint. At the end of each set, I like to finish with as many partials as possible when I can't finish any more full range of motion reps, even if I'm only able to squeeze out 1 or 2 more partials. And I'll actually almost always, add a myo rep or drop set after my last working set for most of my sessions too, to really squeeze out as much as I possibly can from my triceps. And there you have it. As mentioned in the beginning of this video, there isn't a one-size-fits-all best approach for lifting weights that works universally well for everyone. But even so, it's my hope that in sharing my approach from this workout with you, that there's at least 1 or 2 things that you can try and implement in your own workouts that will ultimately lead you to build muscle faster and more efficiently. At this point, I'd love to know your feedback. Let me know your questions, comments, and insights in the comment section below. Before this video comes to a close, I want to quickly let you know about the work that I do. When I'm not making YouTube videos or Instagram content, I work full-time as an online physique coach, where I help my clients to accomplish their muscle growth and fat loss goals by optimizing their approach to strength training and nutrition, and I coach them through the process. I've been doing this work for over 7 years and love helping my clients to not only transform their bodies, but ultimately their lives. If you've been considering getting some help with accomplishing your own physique goals, feel free to hit the link in the description below, where you can learn a little bit more about the work that I do and how I can help you. You can even use that link to schedule a free video consultation with me. If you have any questions about my coaching or how I can help you, just email me at sam@jadeathletics.ca. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.